anybody who wants to expand in that area, they have to buy us, right? Like we have all of anything north of, the Larder Lake break, we hold pretty much in the camp, right? And so it's one of those things. If what I'm most attracted to about our story is like, obviously, yes, we have a beautiful land package. We have this new exciting opportunity that we're drilling into currently, but it's the fact that it would be attractive to literally any major company. It's like you can establish yourself as a massive landholder overnight by buying our company, and then have all of these other opportunities, all these showings, everything else, regional exploration. So it could be an Aussie company that comes in and goes, great, look, now we hold this huge land package and this potential producing asset in Kirkland Lake. Right. And so it allows them to move in. It could be a Kinross, it could be a Glencore, it could be an 𝐊𝐒𝐂𝐕𝐄 that just expands and connects their land packages together. So lots of growth opportunity from that regard.
Imagine the same conversation in 6 months and gold's 4,200.
Exactly.
And then they report earnings and they have 10 billion in the bank that they're going to buy treasuries with.
Yeah.
Shareholders will revolt.
It was funny that we talked about this earlier this morning, and when he and I had dreamt up our initial concept of Minestalkers, the TV series, he's like, gold was 1,200 at that point. And what's it today?
I mean, it's
joke. Crazy.
And I mean, sitting on a trading desk, watching it go from 250 to 800, when Murray Pesum made tons of money and found mines. It took 20 properties to get one together, but everyone ran around trying to grab the property. But I see it today. I didn't really think about it until the last couple of months. We're running out of real estate. We're down to the nicks and that, and you're right in smack in the middle of, that's why I brought up Sir Harry Oakes. So he finds a mine with a pickaxe and goes under a lake, and everyone turns him down, won't even put up money, and him and his buddy go vertical under that lake and find a giant gold mine. You can't drive there in an hour, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close, like okay, so it's a 6-hour drive for me from Guelph, from basically downtown Toronto to Kirkland Lake. It's 6 hours. There's not too many projects that have that kind of proximity with that kind of potential.
And it's one thing when I drove up the last time in the area, I was going actually to Rob McEwen's mine.
Black Fox?
I couldn't believe it. It's like in the middle of a cornfield.
Exactly.
It's so weird when people think of it's all big mountains and rocks, and no, it's a farm.
Yeah.
It's this giant mine right in the smack in the middle. It's so important to see that. So that's part of why Robin and I wanted to kind of show that side of it, and that the community is incredible.
And the history. The history is, like, to me, is really compelling. Obviously, the beauty and the adventure of getting out there and exploring from a different lens.
The combination of those things, right, where you have all of this history, and you also have the next generation that's starting to be up and coming. So one of the things that struck me last time was they're building a nice big brand new hotel right in downtown, and so it's I think it's a Radisson or something like that, but they're putting the final touches on things, and I'm like, you don't build hotels in a community that's dying. You build hotels in a community that's growing and building. The Upper Beaver deposit, which is on the east side, and very much a comparable to what we've been looking at Winnie Lake. It's moving into production over the next 5 years. They're sinking a 2-kilometer deep shaft at this point in time. So, that, again, that's not a community that's dying. This is only going to get busier and grow, and being able to be the next piece of that growth platform. Macassa has been at a 5-year mine life for the last 20 years. They just keep finding more and more and more. And the fact now that they're moving moving Upper Beaver into production, it's like, okay, well, this isn't going anywhere. This is the perfect community to be working in. And if you can find either a lode gold or you can find a polymetallic source of mineralization, you can feed into either of those mills very, very easily.
If I was a 20-year-old in school or something now, I'd be wanting to go up in the area and try to figure out how to get a job that starts at $100,000 a year.
Well, that's just it. Miners make more than I do. It's insane. Like I run the company, and the geologists are making more. The miners are making more. It's the potential in the industry is incredible, and it's so overlooked right now. And the other piece of it is the last time we had, a run has been what, like 12, 13 years, like as long as you ignore what happened.
2015 probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
if you
now.
ignore what happened in 2021, where we had that little blip, so nobody knows what the potential of these stocks are. Nobody understands that you can, like our stock alone in the last, 8 weeks, it's gone up almost 4x, right?
We're pretty happy about that.
Good. You should be.
That's what we do for a living.
That's why we're in this, right? Like me as a risk taker and treasure hunter, it's to get that big payoff. And so it's pretty exciting.
I love the way you worded that, a treasure hunter. That's us too. So there's the stock, 3x since I've spoke to you the first time we were chatting. And I'm looking at it like yesterday, I'm going, wait, there's a 10x coming here big time. Because you can, it's funny because what Newell said to me yesterday, if you're geographically in the right spot, they're coming for you.
Exactly. There's so few barriers to success, right? Like when I'm an investor in a lot of different, spaces, junior mining, specifically, but like across all commodities, across different jurisdictions. And as you're doing your research on these, you go, okay, well, what do they have to overcome to be successful, right? And it's some places like, okay, well, I owned a project up in Northwest Territories, and we had some of the most incredible grades. It was like 6 or 7 grams per ton over multi-meters. It was beautiful, high grade gold. And it's the surface of the moon. You can't get there. You have to fly in. The likelihood of developing, it's crazy, right? And so our drilling costs would be $700 a meter at a minimum. You got to fly in all your food. You need to put up bear fences. There's all these added things that go there.
Bear fences so the crew doesn't get eaten.
Exactly. And we had a grizzly bear go through our camp. It walked right through the fence and just kept going, And so it's one of those things where you're like, there's none of that, right? Like I have under $100 per meter for my drilling costs from the drillers. You can drive to sites. There's a already pre-existing community there. Infrastructure runs right through our land package. We have both rail and power, high tension power lines. So it's one of those things I don't even think about it or talk about it because it's like, well, no, that's a given. But there's so many projects that have to overcome all of those problems.
Whole golden triangle.
Exactly.
The whole problem they're going to have is infrastructure and trying to convince everybody to let them build anything. And they are, and we know lots and we hold stuff there. But it's not like where you are.
No.
Not even close.
No, exactly.
You and talk to a few tribes and get her done.
Bingo, exactly. And we've done that. We've had those conversations. We've had those agreements put in place to make sure that things can move forward cleanly and efficiently, and everybody's on the same page from that regard. And they're a pro mining group, right? And so it's different. Some places will say, oh yeah, no, we're pro mining, in pro industry. And then when push comes to shove, you're like, well, are you? Or, what? Because there is going to be damage. There's no doubt, mining isn't perfectly clean.
Clean up damage nowadays.
Exactly. But and that's just it, is that we'll put it back in a different way that's just as nice. Like I think of Kinross Lake in Kirkland Lake. That used to be in a pit. That used to be
used to light on fire when I was in the late 70s, and it was scary.
And now it's, a vibrant piece of the community where, you see hundreds of people every day walking that loop and enjoying, that space. That's the difference of what modern day mining is. And it's just, it can be a positive thing. And as long as you have a community group that supports that, then they can all see the end goal where it's like, yeah, no, we're going to pay for this to make this come out this way. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
This part that amazes me, we've been talking about how to change the narrative in that get the younger or anyone who invests and should, because your future is called investment. And the mining world's incredible, highly ignored, misunderstood, but maybe part of that is because of the way it's presented itself. So what you've been working on with the guys and gals, we're really happy about that, because that means things like the stock can go up.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Somebody started speaking for the industry.
One of my favorite lines that you use sometimes is, without mining, we're dead.
I mean, I come from a background where the big play on the Toronto Stock Exchange was the mining world. I mean, nickel was part of the Dow 30. It isn't today. Val owns it and da-da-da. But as you had mentioned, go to those properties. I went up to Sudbury once and went hiking, and I was on their mine. It's beautiful.
Exactly.
Redone to it. But nobody, I don't even think Val does, but at the same time, the CEO of that company, we were at a seminar with him and Rick, he explained it, how they do things now. It's not, you don't hear that on the news.
The only way to get a true appreciation for those things is to go to those sites. One of the first times I drove Kirkland Lake to Val d'Or, we were doing an Abitibi tour, investor tour. And so you're driving along and you go through Rouyn-Noranda, which is, the Horn Mine, and Humont, and, some of the biggest mines in Canada's history. And then you go a little bit further and you hit Malartic, which is currently one of the largest open pits in Canada. And you see the town that they moved to make that happen. And the town is beautiful. Like, you can tell that they take pristine care of it. It's something that they very much care for. Like a lot of times you think, oh, mining towns are broken down and dirty, and that's not the case. And you see, as you're driving along there, it's head frame after head frame after head frame after head frame. And it was that moment in time where I was like, this is a really special place. This is like nowhere else that I've ever been for any site visits I've ever done as an analyst. It's like this is special. It's one of those things where unless you go to it and see it, you can't really get that appreciation. And that was what that sunk in for me, because I was never excited to go to Kirkland Lake originally when it came on. I was like, oh, it's just a 6-hour drive. I was like, I'm not even going to get status for flying or anything like that. Like, oh, what a joke. And so sure enough, like the first time I went, I fell in love with it and was like, yeah, no, I get it. I understand the value of what we're doing here in the area that we're in. But without going, I don't think you get it. I don't think you can see it.
I've only been through Val d'Or a couple times. Probably the first time is because I was partying or something. My son wanted me to drive up the James Bay Highway.
Nice.
To the Quebec side, because he is a First Nations lawyer.
Okay.
So we did that. But when I came back after, I went through Val d'Or and through, but everywhere I could see things. And by that point, I cared about the mines and what was going on. But it was everywhere. I mean, 𝐋𝐀𝐊𝐄's sign was everywhere. And he's a rough guy. So we hiked some pretty tough spots. The beauty of it.
Yeah.
Stefan, I mean, incredible, as you say. And yet you see a town and it's like vibrant. Incredible.
And alive, and it's in great shape. Like the general population, they paint such a shitty picture, a terrible picture of mining, and it's from in the middle of the Congo where there's no mining law whatsoever, and they're like, well, that must be how mining is everywhere. And it's like, Canada has some of the highest standards for environmental, social governance, safety, all those things, right? And it's like, we've raised the bar across the world of how things are done. And it's like, would you rather it be done here, where we have the positive economic flow coming into Canada and all those dollars that are then part of our economy? Or would you rather it be shipped off into, again, Africa? You can do it for less in Africa, but you're absolutely killing people and destroying the environment there. So it's like, it's better to do it in our backyard, where we're going to do it properly and we're going to put it back in a way that people can enjoy going forward.
I still can't figure out, as you and I talked a while ago, I couldn't figure out how you managed to put this package together.
Like I said, I can't take credit for that. That was, and the thing, so like, if you actually think about it, over the last 10, 15 years, mining has been in the dumps. And so eventually,
opportunity.
Exactly. That breaks people down enough that they're willing to make a change. Okay, well, maybe this isn't going to be the next Macassa. And so they're willing to let go of those things for a reasonable price.
Stealing price.
Wow.
Like, really?
I think so.
In perspective, it's incredible.
some people look at our land package and put $100 a hectare as the minimum price of what we should be worth, right? And so we have 40,000 hectares. At $100 a hectare, you can do the math. We're still completely undervalued. The thing, a lot of people just don't know about us or what we were doing or how we do things. And so we finally started marketing, finally started talking to people because we're on to something big. And that's now where we are. We're getting our story out there. So even though we've gone up 300% in the last 8 weeks, we're not even caught up to what our bare minimum valuation should be. There's still a lot of blue sky. So we have a neighbor, Mustango, part of the OR group, and they have some land in Kirkland Lake, but it's like piece. So the value of what we have is that I can do $1 of drilling on my furthest eastern corner and apply it to my furthest western corner. So that contiguous land package is it's priceless in my eyes because it allows everything to be built up and explored properly without having to go, okay, well, I have to spend money right here to keep this in good standing. I can use this here, even though this whole other area is relevant. Where we're drilling now at 𝐊𝐈𝐑𝐊𝐿𝐵 Lake, it's that whole pluton. So that 17 kilometers is all prospective, but I can't explore all of that all at once and have all those claims move forward. And so it's like, okay, well, let's focus on one area, explore it out, get a very good understanding of the geological model, how this mineralizing fluids and everything else are coming in, and then go, okay, well, let's take that, figure out what worked there. So this style of geophysics or this style of geochemistry, and then it's like, okay, let's move over here and do that same test. But because everything is contiguous, it allows us to focus our work to move it forward properly.
And that's the beauty of the infrastructure too, isn't it? And the location.
We have stellar gold, we have agnico, we have Kinross just around the corner, we have Pan American silver, we have gold can, like there's a lot of big boys in the area. And there will be no shortage of conversations from that regard, but we have really good support. We've worked closely with agnico in the past on our, it's kind of like you show us yours, we'll show you ours. I mean, that's all kind of a friendly geologists working together in a community type of thing, because Kirkland Lake is a small community. We all go to the same restaurants and we all fill up our gas in the same spots. And so you have those conversations and everybody's friendly from that regard, but it's not necessarily this partnership per se.
You're sort of like their personal shopper.
Bingo. Exactly.
And they have a good hockey team.
Yeah.
They do. Yes. The gold miners.
Pretty interesting.
The nice thing about because the land package is so big, we have multiple styles of mineralization in multiple different areas. And so just because what we're doing right now with this relatively new focus, so just to backtrack, just a touch, we did soils over our entire west side, and that gave us geochemical anomalies that led us to look around this pluton, because for the longest time it was, a tombstone granite, don't touch that, don't worry about it. We get this geochem back, and it's these clusters around the pluton, this granite that's come out of the ground. And so that, we go back a step and go, okay, well, we've been looking for orogenic gold over here. And over on the other side, we had an intrusion-based system that we were following. Okay, well, let's focus over here for a second and take a look at it and actually explore it. And that's where, we found the 𝐊𝐈𝐑𝐊𝐿𝐵 Lake property, which I brought in back in May, and that's what we've been drilling. But they had this incredible drill hole from 1989 that was 22 meters of mineralization, 2.7% copper, 2.6% zinc, I think, something like that around there, with gold and silver. The lens that they were using when they were exploring was, okay, well, this is a VMS type of thing. And we were like, I don't know if that's VMS. We think it's more of this intrusion that's bringing it in. And so the way they drilled is they went at it and then to the east, away from the intrusion. And they went underneath it into the east. And whereas we're looking at, okay, well, let's go to the west, because we think that this giant body brought in the fluids and everything else that's mineralized it. And the first drill hole we hit, which was 15 meters to the west, hit massive sulfides and a huge amount of alteration, a huge amount of fluids had come in. And we're like, this is it. This is showing us that it is this intrusion. And so when you combine that with the bismuth numbers that are highly elevated, and a lot of people don't really get bismuth. It's not the value of bismuth by itself. It's an extremely rare mineral, but there's just not a lot of uses for it. Bismuth is more rare than gold, which a lot of people don't know. One of the reasons why it's interesting, so it's used in like like the fire extinguishers that are in buildings. They have a little piece of bismuth in it, and when it heats up, it melts and it turns those things on. And so it has a very low melting point, which is why it's a value in a intrusion-based system, because what it does is it sinks into those fluids and then allows gold to precipitate at a lower temperature. So you have more gold going into those systems because it doesn't have to reach a higher temperature. It only has to get to here. So the boiling point of gold then goes lower, which means more gold goes into those systems. Had a channel sample over 17 meters where we got 35 grams per ton of bismuth. So that tells us that those quartz veins all had bismuth in them, which means that entire system, if you keep going down, has bismuth in it. And so that is a really strong indicator for us that this is a big, hot system that has the opportunity to bring gold into it and other mineralized material into the system. And so then it's a matter of finding, okay, if you think of, I always think of a tube of toothpaste when, pushing up into the crack of the earth and driving up. And that's what a pluton is. It's just this goo that came up and broke through. Exactly. Broke through and cracks all over the place, and it shoots out in different angles. But what comes with that is it pulls water from the surrounding rocks and then will recirculate and move it around. And that's those quartz veins that will end up shooting out whenever something occurs, whether it be a retraction of the pluton. So it's like it goes out and it almost breathes. And when it comes back in, those cracks form, and that's where the fluids can escape. And so at the top of the pluton where we were exploring, we had these quartz veins that were all kind of parallel, and then we sampled across that, and that's where we had the elevated bismuth. And so, we're exploring it, and it's still extremely early stages, but if those fluids on the edges are mineralized, which we've now seen with the last drill results, is very, very clear. We don't know what the assays are coming back with, but we know it's mineralized. It's the nicest core I've ever held, including the PDAC core shack and anything else that I've ever been to.
Like a little baby.
Oh, it is my baby. So it's like, what if we go to the other side of that? We're only on one corner. What about over here? What about over there? What about over there? And the fact that we have 17 kilometers to work with, it's like, whew. The opportunities are huge. And again, back to that bismuth, because it was so elevated, like one of the grab samples we had over 1,200 grams per ton. And so if you have that much bismuth in the system, you're pulling gold. And we know the Blake River group of rocks is a gold rich belt of rocks. And so you're pulling all of those fluids, all of those minerals from the surrounding area, and then remobilizing it. And then some sort of chemical event, some sort of structural event occurs that then in turns drops those minerals into the system, into, the surrounding area. And what we saw where we were drilling was you have this beautiful band of massive sulfides, pyrite, chalcopyrite, well over a meter, sometimes 2 meters. But then on either side of it, you have all of these disseminated sulfides. So you can tell this was this big, powerful push through, and then it spread out through the entire area. So it's an indication of how big and strong this system was. And then it's a matter of tracing it back to go, okay, well, where did it come from? And the closer you get to the source, typically the more dense that mineralization is, the greater the intercepts. And this was our first drill hole. Like it goes to, and sometimes these deposits take a couple of years to, figure out. The fact that we're already starting there is a really strong first step.
In an area where you can drive a truck to it.
Exactly.
I mean, so what's the famous hole out in BC, hole 155 or something, where they found the giant mine? But it was the 155th one, and it was huge. Can't remember the name of it. But so in your case, everywhere around you is a mine.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. You're in the 𝕊𝐈𝐑𝐊𝐿. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Mic drop. Geology rocks. let's just say.
Credible information. What happens with capital now with the company? Do we raise some or do we wait? But it's obviously it'll be on people's mind. Dilution, when to raise money. Do we need to? Who's playing in the game here?
So we will be raising. It is because of what we've discovered. We have a lot of strong shareholders and very powerful investors asking. I've had 3 different major people say they'll be the lead order on our next order. And so it is going to be dilutive. There's no doubt about that, because we want to raise enough money that we can do something with it. But it's not going to be gross dilutive. It's not going to be one of those ones where you bring in every flow through fund and that stock's going to be dished out for 4 months in a day. These are people who are going to be taking it to the final step. So that I can't tell you who they are, and I just have to leave it a little bit mysterious in that way. And that's been very specific that we have to do that from what they've said. Yeah. But we're expecting over the next 6 weeks that will end up happening. We're going to be waiting until those results come out. At least the first set of assays. I don't think we have the luxury of waiting for our final 4 holes, which we'll be releasing about next week, that we can actually talk about. The first hole that we had in the mineralization we saw and what we encountered, that was the most important one for us anyways, because it's going to tell us, what we're working with. And just visually from the rocks, anybody who fully understands the geology and understands these type of systems, they get it. And that's hence why we're getting this huge buy-in. Hence why we had Eric Sprott buying on the open market. He bought at 17.5 cents when his last raise was at 5 cents.
Oh, I'm a better trader than him then.
Well, you just compare net worths, Kevin, maybe, and we'll see who's the better trader.
Calling all savvy investors in mining and resources. Seeking the inside track on Kirkland Lake Discoveries? Look no further than minestalkers.com for cutting-edge knowledge and real-time stock updates. Visit for the insights and stay for the gains. Seize the opportunity and explore the magic at minestalkers.com. Uncover new investment possibilities today. Don't forget to hit the bell below to subscribe, and then like and share this video. Let's get the word out there.